We're now 2 days into Starfleet Academy. Enough people have watched it now that they know that this is not Star Trek whatsoever. It is just an abomination. It's a DEI ideology trying to, I guess, aim Star Trek at teenage girls somehow. It doesn't make any sense. And it's failing. The fans are not watching it. It's not doing very well on Paramount Plus. It's not doing well on YouTube. The fan reactions not going very well either. And the actors are starting to lash out. The writers are starting to lash out. And it's all about their desire to maintain control, to gatekeep fandom. They want to keep this in this like crazy DEI extreme leftist world that they've been running with Alex Kurtzman since Discovery aired about over a decade ago now, because that's what it's all about to them. Every time they say diversity and inclusivity, it's not about that. They lie. Even their terminology is a lie. It's not about diversity. It's the opposite of diversity. It's a monoculture. It's not about inclusivity. It's about gatekeeping you out because they hate you and they really want you dead. And if you look at this stuff and you look at the reactions here, it's very, very obvious that gatekeeping is coming about. Now, they invert everything. That is the ethos of all of this. It's an inversion. It's a subversion of what's actually happening. And we're going to have a pretty deep discussion about this and just how all of this works from the extreme leftist communist Hollywood mob mentality out here, because that is the core of what's actually destroying Star Trek right now. And so this is not the ideals of going out into space, seeking out new life and new civilizations. It's not about bettering yourself, bettering humanity through science, through development, through, of course, manifest destiny, through spreading humanity throughout the galaxy so we can thrive. It's about the opposite. It's about actually becoming more insular. It's about becoming just navel-gazing and obsessive over nonsense like what gender am I today? It's all fake stuff, right? And it's about just like we just got to accept things as crappy as they are and just feel seen about it, right? And so it doesn't make any sense. That sort of ideology is just really just going around in circles and doing nothing. And that's what it's accomplishing. And that's kind of what Starfleet Academy feels like when we get into it. Now, the lash outs are just a reaction of them just being mad that the fans are not just clapping for them like their critics are. And we're going to get into this in just a moment. So please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us as we talk about all things Star Trek. I'm a science fiction writer, and I'm blacklisted from mainstream publishing. Hollywood would never, pick up anything that I write or anything like that. And it's all because I speak on YouTube about the truth about what's going on. And I write great books. And these books are really for everyone. Anybody can enjoy them, left or right or whatever. And I've actually made a nice science fiction exploration series called Valiant Frontiers, which is going to be coming out pretty soon. This is my proof copy. And it's good stuff. And it's just exploration anybody can enjoy, right? And so this is going to be later. And so I'd like you to stay connected with me on my newsletter in the description below. You get 3 free books for doing so. Pretty generous, pretty good stuff. A sci-fi book, a fantasy book, and a superhero graphic novel. I try to hit all the genres kind of in the geek fandom and whatnot so that we can, of course, have a little something for everybody. Imagine that. So check it out. It's in the description below. Thanks, guys, for signing up and, of course, making this a success. I do have books on Amazon. If you want to support things, I really appreciate that. And sales have been amazing. It's all because of Star Trek fans like you. I would start with the Stars Entwined of mine if you do want to go there, and thank you guys for being here. All right, let's get into this. As Star Trek stars Robert Picardo and Tim Russ lash out over fan reaction to Starfleet Academy. That's what's happening today. The fans, the real fans, are not liking it. And this has been something where this group has tried to gatekeep fandom for a long, long time. Alex Kurtzman and company have been very tightly controlled about where they give their interviews, where they, of course, place different things. He set up TrekMovie.com, which is this shill website that has exclusives, an exclusive contract with Secret Hideout to, of course, get all this stuff out to the world. They are tightly controlled on the media angle of it, and you only need to do that type of thing when you know you're doing something wrong and you want to actually propagandize, right? I look at the way that the guys who are running Stargate now are doing quite the opposite with what they're doing. They're going out. Joseph Malazzi is posting to X, just like giving updates, like, hey, we're going to be joining the writer's room in a couple days, like telling everything that's going on in like a positive way, because they can be transparent because they're actually trying to do what the fans want. The only reason you need to act like this if you are trying to subvert Star Trek, if you are trying to push your agenda. Now, I have a CBS insider, and that's exactly what's going on. Alex Kurtzman is an extremist. He's a political activist. He's got severe Trump derangement, and that's all he apparently rambles about at the studio all day long. This entire act of Starfleet Academy is not just something where he really is envisioning the future and trying to, like, get young people to like it because it's got some romance in it, and that it appeals to them because it's a younger cast or whatever. That's not his thought here. His thought here is to actually push a political agenda against, of course, half of America and more, and of course a lot of the world as well. And so this is what he wants, and he's part of that Hollywood elite that's involved in that, and he's been lashing out like crazy. And this, going forward, as hard as it possibly can with Starfleet Academy. And in episode 4 is what I'm told that it gets really, really politically off the rails. That's where, of course, this is going to start being crazy, and it's going to push the thing. And they know that this is what's happening because, we've had some preludes with it, with the way Academy's set up. We kind of know it's coming. And of course, we're just bracing for cringe pact. Brace for cringe pact. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing now. And so they don't like that the fans are kind of done with this. And this has happened because they've done this in everything. Kathleen Kennedy did the same thing with Star Wars, with the Acolyte and more, destroyed that because they wanted to push the activism there. The MCU, same thing. They wanted to push the activism. They started pushing LGBT stuff in the Eternals. They were forcing Ms. Marvel onto everybody with the Muslim stuff. They were forcing all these feminist replacements. And of course, Ironheart is probably the one that's the worst out of all of that. And the MCU got destroyed as a consequence. They're trying to bring it back with nostalgia now, right? Same thing with Doctor Who. They push this exact same agenda. All these people are placed in these studios over the last 10 years intentionally with politics in mind. It's not their talent or anything like that that's making them go. And this is going to be an interesting year because Kathleen Kennedy's out at Lucasfilm. Russell T Davies now, I've heard, is going to be out as showrunner of Doctor Who. And I've also heard that Alex Kurtzman Contact's not going to be renewed. So it looks like they've really failed on every single level, and they know it, and they know their time's kind of up, and that's why they're kind of angry about this. So Robert Picardo started this earlier this week, which I rebutted. As he said, long before the term existed, Star Trek's heart was woke. And this was an attempt before Starfleet Academy came out to gatekeep fandom. And it's basically, look, if you're not woke, you're not a real fan. You don't know what Star Trek's all about. Get out, right? That's what this message is sending, right? Just leave it alone. Go away. We don't want you anyway. And you know what? The fans actually said okay on a lot of this stuff. As much as they tell everybody this, they still want everybody to, they think that they can reverse psychology you into accepting slop and just terrible productions and this ham-fisted messaging that they throw into everything because you will then accept it because the authority just told you have to accept it or you're not a real fan. And they really think that you not being a real fan in their mind is like some sort of thing that's going to motivate you. It actually makes things worse. And this is the type of thing that pushes even harder. And it's really weird. It's actually really a fascist ideology because they get so mad, like they want to kick you out. They want to just remove you. In fact, these people get violent. Not Picardo, but, people who are pushing that right now. They'll try to run you over with a car, right? If they don't get what they want. And that's really, really crazy as it goes along. So this was the first attempt to gatekeep before the show came out. Now, of course, things did not go so well, and Elon Musk made fun of it. Of course, Stephen Miller, the White House advisor, we covered that he pushed this and said that, hey, we got to save Star Trek by reconciling with William Shatner. Now, by the way, William Shatner has complained on X that Paramount Plus and the like have been trying to erase him over the last couple of years, and they really have. It's part of that as well. William Shatner embodies, at least from the 60s, right, masculinity, the real exploration. I mean, he's kind of a right-wing archetype of a character, and they don't want that within Star Trek. There's a reason that Pike is the dude with the hair who kind of lets the women do everything and just kind of sits back and lets it happen, right? He's not even the main character of his own show. That's intentional. These things, even though that one's very subtle, that's why Strange New Worlds is a lot more watchable. It is still there. That messaging is still there, and it's still being pushed, right? So Bill Wolkoff, who writes for Strange New Worlds, this is the guy responsible for the musical episode, guys, throws a fit about this. And he tells you if you're right-wing, if you're conservative, if you're Republican, if you're a Tory in the UK, you are not welcome in Star Trek here, basically with this, right? Arguably the most vile human on the planet. Now, again, the reason he thinks about this is because this guy is a Star Trek fan who has a job in politics, and he doesn't like the guy's politics, so he's the vile human on the planet. He's never met Stephen Miller, probably never interacted with him, and I bet you, here's the deal. This is the diversity and inclusivity. I bet you $100 that if this was a world that was different and social media wasn't here, if Bill Wolkoff, who was writing for Star Trek, was like, hey, I'd like to do lunch with you, Stephen Miller would probably be like, wow, that's cool. I would love that because I love Star Trek. So what's interesting is the fascist, vile humans and all that are much more accepting and tolerant of people than the diversity, equity, and inclusion people who are like the vile human on the planet. He's basically saying you should kill this guy, right? He should not even be allowed to exist, right? That's where this is. And so they invert everything again. The only people that they really want gone and the only people they want oppressed are people kind of with like normal politics of them, right? And so that's where this goes off the rails a lot. He's taking time from facilitating shooting, beating, blinding, and kidnapping of a populace to trash Star Trek. Okay. For reasons that are nakedly racist, misogynist, and intolerant. I'd say this is pretty intolerant of you, Bill. That's it. Yeah, he just says reconcile with William Shatner. That's not intolerant. That's something that Paramount does need to do, which means you should watch and support Star Trek. So this is what they do. They make things really, really crazy political to where it's a shock so that people talk about it, and that's the media talking about it. The fans react poorly to it, and then they try to make a political cause out of it, saying, you better watch this because these people hate it, when they intentionally made the show that way so that people would hate it. It's really sickening. And this is awful. And so you can see Robert Picardo reposted this, just his diversity, equity, and inclusion, all that. Now, Stephen Miller, it turns out, is an actual, real Star Trek fan who knows his stuff, is not a tourist. You can see this is a picture of him and somebody else in Star Trek uniforms as children. And Tim Russ found it. And you can see how hateful they are, right? Again, this is bigotry right here. Ugh. Apparently this is a real photo. It's a young Stephen Miller. Clear evidence there is a mirror universe. Again, echoing. The other guy says, most vile, awful person on the planet. Mirror universe, of course, the people are evil in the mirror universe, and that's what it's about. And so they're trying to brand anybody who doesn't think like them as evil. So much for infinite diversity and infinite combinations, Mr. Vulcan. This is where we're at these days. And it is just hateful, and this is where they are. It is an attempt to gatekeep fandom and to say that you're not allowed in fandom if you have differing opinions on this type of stuff, and as they push the agenda even further. Now, this is where it goes crazy. And they invert it again. They invert the fact that they're gatekeeping. They set up this entire thing where if you don't accept the politics, you're a bad person. If you're a bad person, you're not allowed in fandom, right? And what they're doing is if you go to Facebook groups of the main Star Trek stuff, if you voice your opinions that you don't like Starfleet Academy or don't like Discovery because they push this stuff in there, they ban you from those groups. They try to silence everybody and try to create this echo chamber that's getting smaller and smaller and smaller in the process. And here it is. This Triangulum Audio Studios is, again, one of those access media people who covers Star Trek and, of course, gets the access because he just shills for them, right? Has the correct politics, and this is what they get. And he says, awesome thing about Starfleet Academy is posting about it has allowed me to discover, block, and delete those gatekeepers and haters from my life. Now think about this. All this has been Tim Russ and Robert Picardo and the writer from Strange New Worlds gatekeeping and hating people, telling you, you're not allowed in fandom, right? And yet then they call us gatekeepers and haters just because we watched the show that was intentionally provocative like this, was intentionally trying to be a middle finger to people, and then we called them on it. We're not allowed to notice, or we're called this. And this is how they invert things again. What they're doing, they are projecting what they're doing upon us, the fans here. P.S. A hater is not someone who dislikes it, okay, but someone who tries to force that dislike upon you. What about trying to force this extreme leftist politics on us? That's okay when again, this is what you're doing, Triangulum Series. And here's Robert Picardo, a profound insight. Again, after he told people just a few days before the premiere, if you don't like woke, you're not a real Star Trek fan. I mean, this is crazy, and it's just awful. Now, this kind of entitled behavior and this push is exactly why it's dying, people don't want this. People don't react well to this. People don't react well to being told what to think and what to do and what to feel about a TV show. It's like, let us dislike it. You made it with the intention. They knew that people would be disliking this going in. They knew it for years, and they knew this was going to be a massive problem going in, and yet they did it anyway, and they pushed even harder anyway in the process in the direction that the fans' voice they didn't want. And it's like, and then it's like, well, what? Well, those aren't real fans then. It's like terrible behavior by these people. It's super entitled. And it's super just because these are multimillionaires, right? Let's be the real honest, who have cashed in on this shit for so long that they don't even care whether you like it or whether it's a success. They already made their money. They're going to be living the nicest lives ever, and it's all because they trashed something that you loved. It's really sad, but this is where we're at today. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us as we talk about all things Star Trek. This is a heavy discussion, guys, but this is exactly what's going on, and this is their bad behavior. It really is. It's really, really sad. And again, like you want to talk about this stuff, the woke, the DEI, the social justice warriors, they'll trash you. They'll tell you you're not welcome in fandom. They'll block you. They'll remove you from your groups. They'll ban you from the Trek BBS message board, whatever it is, if you state your real opinions on things. Would you really do that to them? Probably not. Like, if Robert Picardo wanted to come on here and just have a chat about things, would I have him on? For sure. And that's why it's all a lie. They're not about diversity. They're not about anything like that. They're just about control. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Please sign up for my newsletter in the description below. Check out my books on Amazon. I appreciate you guys for being here. Books for everybody. I appreciate it. We'll be back soon.